Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us. My name's James Dwyer, and before we get started, I'll just cut through a few admin tasks that we've got to address. The first thing is that in order to optimize the quality of the presentation, I'll have you make sure that your audio is switched off, and also there's no need for your video to be on at this stage. And we're going to have, the second thing I guess relates to the Q&A session that we're going to have at the end. And so rather than disrupt the flow of the webinar during it with questions and interruptions and other people's voice, I've got my colleague Tennille Langdon, who's on the chat function, who'll be able to write it. If you're asking a question and it's short and it just requires a quick response, she'll type back in a response for you. However, if it's something that's a bit more complex, we might leave it and we'll address it at the end of the proper Q&A session, where everyone's mics can be unlocked and opened up and their video can be switched on as well. Okay. And the last thing is that the session is being recorded and you'll be sent a link by email in the next few days as well. So now, the first thing I wanted to address is just, I guess, this slide is about Robotify's vision and how they see themselves. They believe robots are the best way to teach coding. Their goal is to democratize robots and computer science education for all students. They believe every child should have the opportunity to learn to code using robots, and hence they've built Robotify to make this possible and affordable for all students. Okay. So the next thing I want to do is just play you a short little video that, a promotional video for Robotify. I'll just get that, hopefully that'll pull up, and it does. Right. So I'll just play this. And you can see in that video the ideas, I guess, behind Robotify and what they're intending to achieve. Okay, now before we jump into the program itself and have a look at it, I just wanted to give you an overall perspective of the product itself. Okay, so the entire program is browser-based. It can be used on any device. It's within it. They've got the actual coding courses themselves, or the tutorials. So there's about 100 hours of coding and robotics courses and content available in it. We've also got, and this is a really key part, is the student analytics. So as the students do their work, you can see what units they've completed, how much they've done. You can also go through and see what their answers were, how many attempts they made, so you can sort of see their progress in that sense. The other thing you can do is go into the actual projects themselves. And so there's a number of, apart from the units of work, there are also projects that you can do as well. So there's and there's projects which are created by Robotify, and there are also projects that are community-led by teachers, if you like. And there's the ability to go through and copy another teacher's project, and basically make an exact copy of it without changing their original projects, and customize it for your needs. And so there really is that ability to sort of tailor things, and lots of sort of community-based learning that can take place as well, which is great. All right. Now, this page, well, I'll just jump into this section first of all. It's not the actual browser, but what I wanted to show you, this is what the lobby, if you like, where you first start in the browser. Now, the most important part to understand is this menu system over here. There's courses, my classes, projects, community. And so those sort of tabs allow you to navigate through the program. And now, I guess I draw this slide up to draw your attention to what features exist in which sections of the program. So for example, if you're in the courses section, that's where the online tutorials are. If you click on this My Classes section of the menu, this will take you to where the learning management system is. So where you can track what unit students have done, their progress, how many times they attempted it, that sort of thing. And also in My Classes is where the lesson plans are. For you as a teacher, you can access, how do I engage the students with this particular activity? What materials might I use to engage their interest? How might I teach that unit of work, if you like? So those lesson plans are there. There's also the teacher support for the tutorial. So that's where the answers to the tutorials are as well. So as teachers, we don't expect that all of you have a computer science background and that you need some assistance on guiding the students. So the answers sit in here in this My Classes section for the various units of work. We've also got the projects, okay? And that's what I was talking about before, where teachers can create their own projects and share it with other teachers who might modify it and use it for their own purposes, okay? Without upsetting the original projects that have been created by someone else. And then we've got the educator community as well, this community tab here. And that's where you can have teacher-led discussions about what you're trying to achieve. You can also give feedback to Robotify so they can modify the software, and you can let them know of any issues So the next thing we've got, okay. Now, this is the overview. There's there's a number of different units of work that you can do in there. The first one that everyone will most likely start with is this Robotify Basics. We've also got, there's Drone Park, where you can fly a drone around, and we've also got units of work around the underwater environment as well. And in there, the unit plans take 1 to 2 hours. It's cross-curricular activities, and there's lots of, we've got student worksheets that relate to it. So it really is a well-rounded program in that sense, with lots of resources to help you to teach the students. Now, one of the other things with Robotify is they're constantly developing. There's ongoing development. So there'll be new units coming. One that's really good to announce, they've recently released, is the Great Barrier Reef unit of work. And we'll have a look at that in a little while, okay? And we've also got, there's another unit where students can go along with Elon Musk and program robots to land on Mars and do things in various courses there as well, which is great. All right, now what we might do is jump out and go and have a look at the actual Robotify software itself. So here we are, okay? We're in this environment. And as I said, there's the menu on the side, the courses, my classes, projects, that sort of thing. Okay. If we come down here, we've got the various units of work that you can go through. Up here, this Join a Class section, this is where students can, if you give them a code, and I'll show it to you after, if you're enrolling students, they can come in there and access, if you like, or enroll in a particular class that you might give them the code to. So but there's easier ways to enroll your classes, and I'll show you those in a moment. But here it is. So you just come through. Here's the Robotify Basics course. Then we have the Drone Park course. We've got the Treasure Hunter course. That's the underwater one. And then we've got here the Great Barrier Reef. And we'll have a look at that after. But if we come, first of all, we'll just have a look at one of the units. So we'll jump in here to this. This is where basically most students would begin. So in the Robotify Basics, click on that. And it just comes up here and it's loading up, as you can see. It'll usually then give you a little Robotify symbol and then load up the environment for you. Okay. And so when it first comes up, it looks like this, and we've got this ball, and inside there is a little robot, and they refer to this as the hamster. Okay. So this is our coding environment that we're going to be using. Okay. Over here, we've got the, if I just shrink that, this is what it looks like. And you can see the environment that we're in at the moment looks like someone's apartment. Okay, so you can see there's some high rises, tables, sofa, chairs, and there's that little green arrow pointing down there. That's an objective we'll have to get to in a little while. But so we start off here, okay, and we come down here, and you can see up here, I'm starting off at 8. I'll go back to the first unit of work. Yeah. And you get the instructions down here, okay? So it starts up and it says, open the movement drawer, find the move robot forward at a current speed block and drag it onto the workspace. So the workspace is here. So as soon as I close that off, this is now the workspace, and you can see the robotic environment behind it sort of grayed out, okay? So the first instructions, the drawers that they're referring to are here. This is the movement drawer. This would be the sensing drawer. So if I click on those, you can see it come out. There's the logic drawer, and you can see they're all color coded. So you can easily find which blocks are in which drawers, the loops drawer, that sort of thing. So if we come back to the movement drawer, and it asks me to find the move robot forward at current speed. So here we go, move it forward at current speed. So I drag that block out and drag it onto the workspace. Now, for those who weren't sure, or kids might need a little bit more guidance initially, or as it gets more complex, okay? So you can see there's a cue for the block that I was looking for, okay? You can either leave that up and, as an extra hint, if you like, and now it's telling me in the loops drawer, find the wait 1 second block and change it to read 3 seconds. So if I come down here, I know it's green, so I come up here to the loops, grab that wait 1 second, can come in here, change it to 3 and click away. Then I get the next hint is find the stop robot block in the movement drawer. Okay, again, if you're not sure, you can just expand that up here, find that stop robot block, drag it out, attach it to the bottom, okay, and then basically it's hit the big red play button in the workspace. This is the run. So here we've got the button, if you like, to start the code. If I press it, plays, and you get this feedback, okay, that you've correctly executed the code, you've achieved the goals expected, and you can continue on. And so it then lines up again, and this time we're doing tutorial 2, and there will be a different set of instructions. Now, at this very early stage, it is very didactic. It's, drag this block, find this block in this drawer, drag it out. It's just to help get the kids, develop their confidence and understanding of what's going on. As they get more skilled, the tutorials move from that really didactic way of approach to a much more outcome orientated learning. So there isn't a set way to achieve it. So if we have a look at I've just clicked up here, I was on 1, it went to 2, and I've jumped ahead because I've already completed those up to the 8th task. And it says use the blocks in the movement drawer to move hamster, the ball, to the marked charging plate. So the marked charging plate was that green arrow over here. Okay, so there's a number of ways that this can be achieved, and now we're not getting any clues. So you know, we aren't being given the information about how to achieve it. We've got to work it out. So there's a number of ways that it could be done. We could drive forward, bump into the wall up there, and then do a 90-degree turn and drive over there. Or another way we could try it, and this is, I'll just demonstrate this way. So we'll do a turn, okay, of 90 degrees. I don't want to turn 90 degrees. I think that's probably closer to 45 degrees. So I'm going to have a go. And so I'm going to get the robot to rotate 45 degrees. And then I just want it to move forward. Okay. Okay. Okay, and we'll move forward there. Okay. And we might throw in the distance. Okay, and we'll say 300 meters, 300 centimeters. Sorry. All right, so if I run this bit of code, okay, and you can see there's a couple of things. One, the angle that I've gone for is wrong, and also the distance that I'm traveling is wrong as well. So what we could do is come up here and, okay, I could grab this one, which will wipe out having to get the distance correct. I could maybe make it travel a little further. So one option is to just have it move forward, okay? And the other option is to change the angle at which I traveled. So if I try 35 degrees, whoops, gone to 15. I'll just try just 35 degrees and we'll reset this back to the beginning, okay? So the buttons down here, this red one was to play, this one is to reset, and this one completely resets the task. So I start back at the beginning. This one just takes me back to takes the hamster or the ball back to the home position. So if I run it this time, you can see it's moving. And this time around, the code worked. Now that was just a sort of guess and check. It's not necessarily the correct or the best way to program it. It's showing you that it's moved from a very didactic based learning to an outcomes based learning. Okay, so that gives you an idea of the different sort of units of work that you could do in there. So we'll just go back now, and I just want to show you. So there's Robotify basic stuff. We'll jump in. We'll have a quick look in the drone park, and we'll have a look at the first tutorial in that one. Okay. So this is just to give you an idea of the different environments in which students can program. So normally they'd start off with that Robotify basics one, and then they might also move to, and then they might move to the underworld environment, and then to the drone environment, which I'm showing you now. And as soon as it comes up, the first unit, if we jump to it, just because it's an easier one and quick, okay. Again, we get the set of instructions down the bottom. Welcome to the Student Drone Racing League. As a junior racer, you're going to learn how to program and control a drone. So what we're going to do, in the movement drawer, find the takeoff drone. So in the movement drawer, takeoff drone here, we'll grab that block. Again, if I'm not sure, you've got these sort of clues, and I've got to put in a maths block of one of these blocks to tell it how high I want it to go. Okay, click on it. Okay, so the next step is to land the drone. Again, it's a red block, so it's going to be in the red movement drawer. Okay, slide into the bottom. The final one is to take off, and this time it wants me to go to 5 feet. So it'll be the takeoff. Where did I get that from? Here, I think. Takeoff, yes. Okay. And this time we'll grab another. We can duplicate this. So I could go and grab another one, but this time it wasn't meters. This is where some students might get caught. It's feet this time. So then we can run that program. And you can see the drone takes off, lands, and then takes off again to 5 feet. And that's that tutorial completed. And you can see there's a number of different tutorials. Obviously, it moves to outcome-based learning later on, but the first tutorials are always very simple, very didactic in that sense. Okay, so the next one we'll jump to is we'll take you back and I'll show you one of the first steps. If you get a trial, will be you'll want to set up your class. So we'll go through and do that. Now, this is in the class section. Remember, this is where the student management or the student management learning system is, okay, and where we can manage our classes. So at the moment, I've got 2 classes enrolled. There's Amelia's class, which has 5 students in it, and there's a Robotify demo classroom, okay. What we'll do first of all is jump in and have a look at the analytics that you can do as well. So if we jump into this section, this is a demo class that's been set up with where students have done various bits of work. So if you, in the classroom, okay. So if you manage the classroom, you can see here, this is where I could add students or remove them, unenroll, that sort of thing. And in here, you can see a summary as well of if this is student 0, student 10, student 11, that sort of thing. You can see student 10 has completed 7 tasks. Student 16 has completed 14 tasks. And you can see various students have done varying amounts of work, okay? If we go to the student analytics section, and that pops up, we go to Drone Park, and this is where we can see what units of work the students have done. All right, so we can see here that in the first one, the control, that was that unit that I was looking at before, okay? Now you can see here, student 0 has had a go, but hasn't been successful. And I can see there, this is their attempt. They've had 2 attempts at it, it lists here. And this was what they put down. They attempted and they weren't successful. Here is the recommended solution. So if you're ever not sure how to do a particular unit, you can come into here and there's a recommended solution for you to help guide the students in that sense. All right, and you can, if we jump out of that and we jump into, say, this particular student for the same unit, okay, you can see they had 5 attempts. And eventually, after the 5 attempts, they got the right answer. Okay, and so you can go through and see. So there's student here, number 12. You can see they're working on it. They've had 12 attempts at this. This is what their last attempt they were trying to do. And here's again the recommended solution. So there's always that sort of guide for you about. You can see what the students have been doing, how successful they've been. And you can also help them with the answer if you feel that's what's needed. All right. So so that's checking each student individually and their progress. If you're looking for the unit plans and the overall answers, you can come up here and just click on that. Okay. Here's the recommended solution. That's another way you can see the same sort of recommended solution. But they've also got the lesson plans here. So if you click into the Australian one, you can click in and it opens up a PDF file. And in here is basically a guide for the lessons for the various units of work. And you can come in, okay, so there's various lesson plans. It's linked to the Australian curriculum, which is great. There's content descriptors there, what years they apply to, that sort of thing. Okay, for years, there was grades 3 and 4 there, grades 5 and 6 there, and the various descriptors. Okay, and then you can see which units apply to which descriptors there. That's on its side, that particular sheet, but it's quite clear if you're looking at it. Okay, it also gives you a guide of how long each lesson should take. Okay, so you might, for the first lesson, part A would be a discussion of drones, controlling various control tasks, drone movement, and there's a little control quiz at the end and a review. Okay, so it really sort of sets out the how you might organise or plan your lesson. So those sort of materials are there, what resource you need, and the slides, that sort of thing. There's also how you might differentiate the unit for those who need it to be a little easier or a little bit harder or a bit more challenging, that sort of thing. Okay, so those things are there, and you can have a look in greater detail when you if you enroll in the trial and have a look for yourself what's there. Okay, so I'll jump back, whoops, to this section to find those classroom, the lesson plans. I came up here, so if I click on any of these at the top, it gives me the answer, and it also gives me where the lesson plans are for each unit of work. Okay, so that's basically where you can track what the students are up to, that sort of thing. Now, if when you first start, I'm just clicking on this My Classrooms, and you first start and you want to enroll your students. Okay, so you've just opened up your trial, you put in my MTA, so we're at the MTA school, so MTA grade 5, okay, you can give them whatever name you like. I'm going to call them the 5th grade, create the classroom, okay, and now I've created a classroom, but it has no students in it. So I can either get the students to enroll themselves and give them that code, and that would allow them to attach themselves, if you like, to this particular classroom. The other option is you can auto-generate. So you can say there's 20 students and give them the username prefix, but that doesn't necessarily enroll them with their names. That has to be done later. The easiest way is using this add students manually, and we're going to use use Excel and a CSV file. So it's asking you to manually add or upload a file to add. What we're going to do is upload a file. So if I jump into, this is my classroom list, if you like. I've got the first name in this column. I've got 14 students in it. I've got the second name here, so it's Annie Archer. And then I've got a little Excel formula here, which gives me a username in this particular column, which will be their first name plus the first 2 letters of the second name, and then it just adds that @MTA. So that's, the @MTA is not necessary, but you can have the school or the class, whatever they're associated with, if you want. And then we've got a password here. And so this way, I can just give them all very quickly a unique password, Robotify and a particular number, and I can give them their usernames as well. Okay, so that's the Excel spreadsheet. I've got to save it as a .csv. So it's so I just come in here, save as, and we're going to change it from a proper Excel file to the CSV as soon as I can find it. There it is, comma separated values file. So now I'll save that. Okay. Okay. Oh, there we go. Sorry. And now that's saved. And this is a CSV file. So I'll just close that. And I should be able to come here. Now I'll go to upload the file. And I've got to tell it where that file is. And here it is. So this is the I've got to get the CSV version of it. So I click on that, open. Okay. Upload file, and there it is. You can see all the names of the students very quickly. So if you've got 20, 25 students in your class, they'll all be listed there. First name, last name, username or email, and the password. Okay, so now we create the accounts. And really quickly, you should be able to have all your students listed in. And there it is. You can see they're listed by their username. And all the students are basically enrolled, and I just need to give them their username to log in and their password, and they can log in and start working on their unit. So it's that quick to get set up. Okay, so that's essentially enrolling a class. So we now know, we've got the courses, we know how to where the courses are, we know where to find the classes, and we know how to enroll students, we know how to find the unit plans, we know how to find the answers to units as well. Yeah, as teachers, we all love to have the answers. Okay, so the next thing is we'll jump into the projects tab here. And this is that area where the idea is there might be a lot of development by the Robotify community, the community of teachers, if you like, who can come in here and create projects and share them with other teachers. You can either keep them private or you can share them in the hope that other teachers will utilize your work and perhaps extend upon it and reshare it back to the community. So you might see something that you created developed in an even more positive direction than or more elaborate than you've already created. Okay, so you can essentially, that's referred to as forking someone else's project. Okay, so the next thing, so that's projects, and then we've got this section as well, which is where the community is. Okay, and so in here you can give feedback about the site. You can give feedback, how easy the program is to use, feedback, bug reports you can see in here. So one of the things that's great about Robotify is they're really responsive. Okay, if you discover an issue, you can send an email to them and they'll get back to you. They'll and they really want to see this that they want to utilize the sort of experience you have as a teacher to improve the product as much as they can. So that's a really positive thing. Okay, and so you can discuss projects in here, any news you might want to share, that sort of thing. So you can get the the latest things. It's a bit like the old sort of message boards that they used to have in back in the early internet. But in here you can communicate directly with Robotify as well, which is great. Okay, so that is essentially a very brief run through. Now, what I did want to do with you is go into one of these courses, go into, in particular, to the Great Barrier Reef course. And I'll show you that one. This is one that they're basically, and this shows how responsive they are for Australia. They've actually gone and created this Great Barrier Reef unit of work. So you can click on there and come into this unit of work. Okay, so this environment here, if we have a little look around, so you can see, okay, and they've created this environment to explore. Okay, and the first you can see up here, okay, oh, there's even a little sign, the Great Barrier Reef. If you've ever been up there and snorkeled, maybe I don't think there's any signage down there, but here in this environment, they've even got little signs telling you it's the Great Barrier Reef. But now, if you look around, if we go to they're all the environments are set up the coding environment is similar. It's got all these movement drawers, the sensing drawers, that sort of thing. We've got these tutorials here at the top, you can see, and we might have a go at the first one. Okay, so now it starts down here, our instructions. Okay, look around the environment and try to find the crown of thorns starfish. So this is a known problem on the Great Barrier Reef. The crown of thorns starfish eats and destroys the coral. Okay, it should be located on the rock 15 meters in front of you. Click the arrow above to see a picture of the creature. Okay, so we've clicked the arrow above and we can see it. There's the starfish. Okay, and we're going to have to move forward. Okay, it's now saying move. Grab out one of these, move forward blocks. Okay, go to, and it's giving you this particular thing, it's telling you to go to move forward 10 meters. Okay, and we're going to tag the creature. Okay, in order to tag it, it's in this sensing, you can see it's orange, so it's going to be in the sensing one. So we're going to tag this particular creature. Okay, and in this case, it's we're going to grab a text block as well out of the yellow. You can see it's yellow, and we're going to insert it in that that sort of puzzle bit there. It'll fit in there, and we're going to. It'll probably ask us next to write. Okay, what we need to do is we've got to. Okay, from the text, drawer to tag. Oh, and you can tag it whatever you like. So I'm going to tag it the crown of thorns starfish, so the CTS. Okay, and now it tells you here that you can tag or scan a creature from 8 meters away. So it said it was 15 meters away. We're going to move to 10 meters away, so we'll be in range to tag that particular creature. Okay, and we get the feedback that we've done it correctly. Okay, again, the tutorials start very simple. Okay, and then if we jump to, say, this 5th one, okay, and you can see here, this time around, this is an example where it sort of moves to a more complex. You're not spoon-fed, or you're not sort of guided through at those initial stages for the answers. Using what you've learned so far, find and scan the manta ray. So the manta ray looks like that, and I know that it's over there. Okay, so if we were to do it quickly, the manta ray is tagged as SQ964. Okay, and hence you can use loop blocks. So you've got blocks here that you can then use to guide you. So we might grab out the repeat while. We'll grab one of these blocks, the comparison blocks, and I'm just sort of giving you this guide just to show you potentially how complex it can get. Okay, get the distance to the tag. Okay, and drag it out, and the code for it was SQ964, I think it was. Yeah. All right. So it's basically saying while the get the distance of the tag is less than, we're going to change it to or greater than, and we need a little maths block. Say 5. Okay. So essentially, while we're further away than 5 meters from this particular shark, so while the distance is greater than 5 meters, we can do things inside this particular loop. So that would be things like move the robot to the depth, okay, and it might be, so you want to get the depth of the tag. Okay, and we can just duplicate that. So I want to move to that particular depth. We want to move forward. Okay, and we want to move perhaps, duplicate this. We might move forward 5 meters as well. Okay, and then we've got to get the direction of it as well. So you could turn clockwise, and there's a few problems with my program that will become obvious after we run it. Okay, and we need to just know the angle. So we're going to get the angle to the particular tag. So we'll show you, this might be how a student would approach this particular problem, and then we just come down and run that program. So basically it's doing, the first thing it's doing is a clockwise scan, okay, until it picks up that manta ray. And okay, it picked it up. Now it's lowering it, and you can see as it's going through the program, it's each time it's telling you which bit it's working off. Okay, and you can see at the moment it's cycling around, and it's fairly inefficient because it's constantly going clockwise searching for the manta ray, and if the manta ray happens to be on the left of it, it does a full 360-degree turn, and so it's a relatively inefficient program. Okay, so let's say we're a little lost. Well, that will eventually find the manta ray, but it's really inefficient and not a good program. Okay, so let's say we want to improve it and we want to learn from it. There are other options we can use. Okay, and so if we jump back, So if I finish that program up, okay, and let's say I wanted the answers, if you wanted to know where they are, we could come back here to my classes. We can come back into classroom student analytics. Now we need to go into the Great Barrier Reef. And in here, I can find a better answer here to the problem. And you can see this is slightly more elaborate, but the guide is there for you. So, you know, for you as a teacher, you can work out, my program would have worked, but it would have been quite inefficient. This way, they're doing a little if check to work out which way, whether it should turn clockwise or anti-clockwise, which is more efficient to try and find and tag the manta ray, if you like. So that will make sense for you if you've got a bit more robotics experience. If you're a little lost by that, don't worry, the guides are all there for you. Okay, and we'll jump out. That's enough of the sort of robotics side, but I just wanted to sort of give you an insight at this stage. What we might do now is, I'm aware of time, and we might jump back to the PowerPoint just to sort of finish up and you know, sort of cover off the Q&A. Obviously, something like Robotify is absolutely perfect in the current sort of COVID environment. Particularly the schools down in Victoria will be experiencing this, where or hopefully coming out. But where there are concerns about students touching the same equipment, where if we end up going back into lockdown, and fingers crossed we never do, but you know, these sort of this Robotify sort of this program is fabulous for distributed sort of programming, where the students the students are able to access this anywhere on any device from home without having needed to take hardware home, anything like that. So it's really good in that sense. Okay, the other things are, as I said, it's accessible 24/7. Your students can, you know, do extra work anytime they like. It's device independent. It contains a really well organized and structured tutorial system. It makes it really easy, and and it's very accessible and affordable for students. It's constantly evolving. And the other thing is, there aren't parts. You know, if you're flying a drone around, you're never going to have to replace those little propeller blades. So, you know, you just completely avoid all those sort of issues. Okay, and it can be really good to supplement if you've got a physical hardware robotics program going. It can also be used to supplement that program and support it as well, which is great. Okay, now a few sort of testimonials before we finish up. Okay, these are from various people at other schools. One is Robotify. This is from Kathleen Dasho, a K-12 district digital learning specialist. I think these are probably US-based testimonials at this stage. We'll have some from Australia soon. But Robotify allows students to learn STEM skills in a fun, interactive 3D environment. Additionally, Robotify teaches real-world programming skills along with on-screen feedback that engages students. Another one is, I'll just read out one more, and this is from David Locker, a NASA educator. Robotify opens up a world of possibilities, from navigating through the Amazon rainforest to exploring the craters of Mars. Students can experience coding like never before. Okay, so, and there's another one there. And this is something else that's coming as well. For some of you who may or may not be familiar with, there are other competitions out there like First Lego League, RoboCup Junior. They're great competitions. Robotify are intending to bring in their own competition, all virtual. So there's no costs to compete with students overseas. There's no, the high cost of travel or the inability to travel won't be limited by that. All those sort of additional costs, they're not there. So this is an environment. What you saw me exploring is I'm the only person in that environment. With RoboDual, the idea is there can be a coding environment where multiple students can be, controlling different robots inside it. Now, they're currently developing and testing it. And in current tests, they've got up to 30 students can all be competing in the same environment at the same time, which is really exciting. So they feel that this is going to be a real game changer for all students, and will really open up the ability to for students to compete and demonstrate the knowledge that they've gained in classes. So it will be a premium add-on product, so you'll need to, there'll be additional fees associated with it, but you'll need to have Robotify to be able to participate and compete in it. But it is something that is looking to be a really exciting add-on product for them. Okay, and that basically brings us to the end of the presentation. I realise I don't want to go over time too much, but hopefully you've got a little bit of an idea of the product itself. So what I might do, I've got Tennille on the thing. I might also unmute everybody. Those you can unmute yourself, so you can ask us questions. I'll just, okay, that should allow participants to unmute themselves. And Tennille, yep, you're unmuted. And I'll just pull up video so I can see. Okay, so you should be able to unmute yourself, you know, put the video on, and we can go through and answer any questions that you might have. So, Tennille, were there any questions or?
We've just had a couple of questions coming in now. We have got Diane just in regards to free trials. And so Diane, yes, we will be providing free trials for Robotify, which you can sign up for. And then if you're happy after the trial, then we would go into subscription costs with you. The next question we have was from Kate about the program interacting with physical robots. Not at this stage, Kate. That is a probable development later down the track for Robotify, but not at this stage.
If I can just interrupt, one of the things for those who are interested in you know, trials and that sort of thing, you can just type your email into the, just put trial and your email or something into the chat function, and we'll have someone contact you as well if you want to go, you know, if you want us to contact you. Otherwise, you can email the onlinelearning@teaching.com.au. And as far as pricing goes, there's pricing for a whole year, there's pricing for terms, so it gets quite complex. So yeah, we can, you know, your rep will be able to discuss that with you as well. Sorry to interrupt, Tennille.
No, that's okay. So for those who are wanting to access a trial, just get in touch with us at the email address you can see on the screen now, onlinelearning@teaching.com.au. And we have the lovely Amy who will get you up and running and in touch with us and set up for a trial. And if you need to discuss subscription prices, you can talk to your rep or with us on onlinelearning@teaching.com.au as well. It's fairly quick and simple to get up and running with a trial.
And we've got Michelle just asked how long the trial goes for. So I think the trial's 30 days or something, isn't it?
Yes, we have a 30-day trial for the Robotify. Yep, that's correct.
Yep. Okay. So, okay, is there a Python version of the coding? Not at this stage.
Coming shortly.
Yeah. So, but it is something they're working on. So
we had a question about, is it suited for the junior classes, Prep Foundation to 2, from Sarah. Sarah, I think that possibly from about year 2, the reading level required for the to really get into the block coding, I think maybe a little bit complex for your prep or foundation students, because there is quite a bit of instructional reading in terms of following along with those training modules. But possibly from year 2, if you've got students who have had some coding experience previously, I would think it would be more suited to the upper levels of primary. That's just from a personal perspective, but there's no reason that year 2 students could not have a go at this. It's definitely a good experience for them.
Okay. And what else was there? Okay. Someone asked, oh yeah, can you have access to the recording of this webinar? Yeah, for those who enrolled, they'll be sent out a link to it as well. So that will be coming. Then I think Diane's asked for some idea regarding the subscription costs. I think a site, or I think just a vague overview, just so you know whether it's in the ballpark sort of thing. I think a site license for a full year is $500, and then the subscription fees start around 20 a head, but then drop off substantially as you get bigger numbers. So, and then, but there's also term-based pricing, and I think there's even down to, I think there might be something down to 2-week pricing. So it's a really quite an elaborate sort of pricing plan, trying to meet everybody's needs, that sort of thing. So you really are better to go to your, get in contact with your school rep. If you're not sure who that is, you can also, or send it off to the online learning teaching one, or put one into the chat function as well. But yeah, the pricing gets complex, but that sort of gives you an overall picture of sort of the high end, of what it is. So, and it gets cheaper. The more students you have, the cheaper it gets. That sort of.
Elizabeth is asking about this being iPad friendly. Elizabeth, Robotify is a web-based platform, so absolutely you can use it on a browser with your iPad, with your Chrome, Safari, etc.
Then we've got Kate Jones asking, what years is it most suitable for? Any secondary? I would imagine some of the coding, it starts off very easy, and in the tutorial I try to show you relatively simple units of work. It gets much more complex as the units, as you go through, such that it would certainly go into secondary school as well.
Am I correct in saying that when you click the analog button over to the left-hand side when you're in the coding screen, that actually brings up the JavaScript version of the coding as well? The Blockly? Sorry to throw that at you. I just had a quick look before, which will certainly push it into a secondary realm if they can access the Java.
Yeah, we'll jump in.
Look at this, we're learning as we go.
Oh, there you go. Yes. So, were there any other questions? So I'll, just jump in.
While you do that, some gifted and talented students this is from Lance, sorry, about working from years 5 to year 10. Certainly I think your year 5 and 6 students would find this a good challenge. And in the early high school as well. I'm hoping that if we can have a look at the JavaScript, that will actually be a really good option for the gifted and talented in that senior schooling area that have some experience and want to extend.
Okay.
Just on that Python question, it's about, I've just been told it's about a week or 2 away from being available. Their Python training.
So where were you thinking the JavaScript?
I could be incorrect. I was having.
Were you thinking this terminal?
Yeah, as you code, I'm just wondering whether, or is that it brings up the under the terminal. I wasn't 100% sure of that.
No, I think that's just the output. Like you can output information to the terminal.
Yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying there. Yeah.
Yep. I didn't want to say no, and just in case.
No, that's right. We're all still exploring all the things that this can do.
There are new things popping up quite constantly with it as they develop it. So yeah, it's a constantly evolving thing. So anyway, so we'll go back to the questions if there are any, and feel free, if you don't want to type in, just ask away. We're happy to have you talk to us. Don't be shy. We can see Daniel's camera's come on. Good.
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know, I'm just starting off. I'm a beginner. So I'm just about to start robotics this term with my kids with the EV-free Mindstorm Lego set.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm just learning at the moment. Learning as we go.
Yes. Yeah. So but yeah, so
I had to play over the holidays with it, and I just wanted to sit in and learn some new stuff.
Yep. See what else is out there and how you can add or add to the program. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm doing it for year 7 and year 8.
Yeah. So, okay. And are there any other questions that you can see, Tennille?
There was a little mention of, someone was mentioning it's more fun than Scratch. And I don't think we could say that it's better or worse than Scratch, but I think it's from really good real world context to the coding, with students being able to control robots in the environment that they would imagine those robots or those vehicles in. I think it's just brings in that slightly different context rather than Scratch, with some really good features and some really good moving through in that linear fashion, gives students a really good chance to grow their skills and also build their own solutions as well.
The ability to track, that student management or student learning system can be really helpful as well. So lots of people might find that useful. Yeah. Okay. Well, if there aren't, we'll give you probably another 10 or 15 seconds to ask any questions you may have. If there aren't any, we'll probably finish it up. So hopefully you found it useful. So, Tennille, any other questions coming through?
No, not that I can see. I'm just going to pop in that email address, onlinelearning@teaching.com.au, there in the chat if anyone wants to copy that. If they want to get in touch with us to organise a trial or to speak to their school rep with any further questions, or to our digital team with any questions they have.
Okay, I'll just pop that up as well. There we go. Okay. Is that someone about to ask a question? Nope.
I think we've covered.
All right, if that's it, yeah. Oh, okay. Well, thank you, Tennille, for your help, and thank you everybody for logging in. It's much appreciated.
Thank you.
So, okay.
Thank you,
Bye,
James.
everyone.